Hello, my name is Azure Kayaks, and welcome to my channel, Stories from Azure Kayaks. Today we're going to be reading Dragoons, The Awakening, Chapter 6, Part 2. With that said, let us get started. Draco grabs the rope he used to swing into the river next to his house. Draco gets a bad feeling. I shouldn't use this rope, Draco thinks to himself. Draco goes down the ladder and grabs the rope he's using to keep his dragon bear hide tied to his firewood. Okay, I have everything. This might be the last time I see this home I've built, Draco thinks to himself and stares at the house. No, I'm saving Wenry, and I'm coming back, Draco says and walks back toward the town. On the way to the town, Draco sees a white feathery chicken drake. That's weird. There must be a mutated chicken drake or something, Draco thinks to himself. Draco makes it sure it doesn't notice him, and he keeps walking to the village. Draco makes it to the village. I should tell the hag I'm going to try and save Wenry. No matter what I say, she's probably just gonna yell at me and tell me not to, Draco thinks to himself. Draco's stomach growls. I probably should eat though, Draco thinks to himself. Draco walks into Wenry's house quietly, sneaking, seeing if the hag is home. The hag is not home. Draco raids the kitchen and eats a couple apples. Where's everything else? Why are there no vegetables? Oh yeah, Wenry, Draco thinks to himself and is a little bit sad. After eating a couple apples, Draco walks out of the house. It's been a couple hours. Let's go get my knife, Draco thinks to himself. Draco walks over to the blacksmith's house. Draco gets there and doesn't see Zen. Zen, I'm back, Draco yells out. Come to the back of the house. They're almost done cooling, Zen yells out from the back of the house. Draco walks past the house fence and into the back of the blacksmith's house. Draco sees a huge metal cauldron of boiling water. What's this? Draco asks. It's the cooling process. You have to use water. A couple more minutes and it should be done, Zen says. After a couple of minutes, the boiling slows down considerably. It's time, Zen says, standing up and grabbing his tongs. Did the knife turn out well? Draco asks. Of course it did. I'm a great blacksmith, Zen says proudly. Zen puts the tongs into the water and pulls out an adamant circlet. Draco is confused. A beauty, isn't it? Zen says, touching it with his other hand to make sure it's safe and not burning to the touch, able to be held and all that. What is that? Draco says. It's called a circlet, a head protector, Zen says. I wanted a knife, not whatever that is, Draco says. Zen laughs and tosses the circlet to Draco. Try it on, Zen says. Confused, Draco tries it on. It fits, Draco says. I knew it would, Zen says. I don't understand, Draco says. Zen uses the tongs and pulls out an adamant spike. Draco just stares. You said Wenry is trapped behind rocks, right? Well, you're gonna need a pick to break those rocks, Zen says as he checks the heat of the spike. Draco says nothing, as he just agrees. Zen tosses the spike to Draco. Draco examines the spike. Nice, isn't it? And it's way stronger than it looks because of the adamant, Zen says. Draco stares at the spike. Zen uses his tongs again and pulls out one more thing from the cauldron. A spearhead. Zen checks it. Perfect, Zen says. Zen then walks over to a long rod he has. Draco watches Zen as he checks if the spearhead fits on the rod. It does. Draco, throw me the spike, Zen says. Draco throws over the spike to Zen. Zen catches it and picks up a hammer with a hole on one side. Zen checks if the spike fits in the hole. Perfect, Zen says. Zen puts down the hammer. Good, good. Now time to sharpen these, Zen says, walking over to a mini grindstone made out of adamant. Zen sits down and starts to grind and sharpen the spearhead and spike. After a couple minutes of watching, Zen, Draco asks, "What are you doing?" Adamant is really tough. You need adamant to sharpen adamant, Zen says. Draco gets tired of waiting and mad that this is not what he asked for. What is all of this? This is not what I wanted, Zen, Draco yells at Zen. Relax, Draco. All of this has reason, Zen says while still sharpening the spearhead. You're a terrible blacksmith. You didn't listen to anything I said, Draco says. Yes, I did. You're fighting a wyvern hawk to save your friend who's trapped in a cave. Am I wrong? Zen says. No, but Draco gets cut off. Listen, I've seen those things rip people in half. You don't want to get close. A knife or a sword would get you killed like an idiot. But a spear has range and mobility, Zen says. Draco says nothing, just thinking about it. Now, the spike is for making a hammer pick. A hammer pick is for breaking rocks. You need a strong pick to crack bedrocks, Draco, Zen says. After a second, Draco nods in agreement. Zen finishes sharpening the spearhead and sets it to the side. Zen then starts sharpening the spike's point. What's the circlet for? Draco asks. Well, if you haven't noticed, I've used most of my half of the adamant on making that circlet for you, Zen says while still sharpening the spike. What about the adamant grindstone? Draco says. Do you want your weapons that can cut and pierce or not? Zen says with a sharp tone. Sorry. But why the circlet then? Draco asks. Would you like to hear a story? Zen asks. Not really, Draco says. Too bad. Many years ago, there was a legendary hero named Drako. He saved a lot of people and changed the fate of this world. But every warrior is nothing without the weapons and tools that they use to fight and save lives. Do you know what type of weapon the hero used? Zen says. A sword? Draco asks. No. An adamant spear, Zen says. Okay, but that still doesn't answer my question, Draco says. Just listen, kid, Zen says. So the circlet is actually a symbol of my clan, Zen says. Your clan? Draco says. Yes, you see, I come from a long line of blacksmiths, kid, Zen says. Draco listens. You see, my father made the adamant spear for the legendary hero Drako, Zen says. Draco is surprised. Yes, it was a beautiful weapon, very strong and long, as the legendary hero Drako was over 7 feet tall when he had it made, Zen says. Wow, over 7 feet? I'm barely over 6 feet. That Drako must have been huge, Draco thinks to himself. After my father made the spear, the village was attacked by some dragons. Drako killed them all and saved not only my village, but me and my sister's life, personally, Zen says. Draco stares at the spearhead on the ground. My father was so grateful he crafted a circlet with my clan's symbol on it just for Draco. So no matter where he went, any of my clan's people would know that he was one of us, Zen says. Wow, that's amazing, Draco thinks to himself. Draco takes off the circlet and looks at the symbol. What is the name of your clan? Draco says. Omega. We were the Omega Blacksmiths because we were the best, Zen says. Draco stares at the circlet and the Omega symbol. Why would you make this for me? Draco asks. Well, before my father died, my father died before I left the village, and I haven't seen a adamant in years. So maybe I was just feeling nostalgic and I wanted to make him proud. Or maybe I just believe that you really can kill that wyvern hawk, kid, Zen says, finishing sharpening the spike. Draco puts the circlet back on his head. No. You're wearing it upside down. The Omega symbol looks like an upside down U, Zen says. Draco takes off the circlet, flips it back around, and puts it back on. There you go. A proper hero, Zen says as he stands up. Draco watches Zen work. Zen picks up the spearhead and gets the rod. Zen puts them together and then lays the weapon down on the anvil. Zen gets tiny pieces of metal and hammers them into the weapon, allowing the spearhead and rod to stick together and not separate. Once Zen finishes, he spins the spear around a couple times to make sure the head doesn't shake or come off. Perfect, Zen says, smiling. Zen takes a stance and does a downward slash with the spear, chopping his chair in half. What the fuck? Draco says, startled by Zen doing this. Sorry. I had to make sure it could kill. It's a great weapon. Though, killing my second favorite chair probably wasn't the best idea, Zen says, spinning the spear and ending in a really cool pose. Zen walks over to Draco and hands him the spear. Zen then walks back over to the anvil while picking up the hammer base with a hole and the adamant spike. Zen uses kind of the same method on the hammer pick that he used on the spear, using metal pieces and bars to hold the spike in place. Zen smacks the anvil extremely hard several times. Now what are you doing? Draco says. Just like the spear, I have to make sure the spike is 100% stuck into the hammer base. If I have to use it as if the hammer base is set. If the spike loosens or falls out, it's incorrect, Zen says and smacks the anvil a couple more times. Perfect, Zen says, smiling. Zen walks over to Draco and hands him the hammer pick. Don't die, kid, Zen says. I won't, Draco says. Draco thanks Zen and starts to walk away. I hope you're able to save your friend Wenry, Zen says. I either do or I die trying, Zen, Draco says, walking away. Zen gets a serious face and watches Draco leave. Draco leaves the blacksmith's house. Draco starts walking toward the forest. On the way, Draco sees the fat man standing in front of Wenry's house. What are you doing? Draco says. I'm coming with you, the fat man says. Are you sure? Draco says. Yes, I've give it some thought, and Wenry is super kind, and if I can help, then I have to help, the fat man says. Draco smiles. All right, let's do this. What's your name? Draco says, extending his arm to shake the fat man's. Oh, my name is Kyle, Kyle says, and then shakes Draco's hand. Well, I'm Draco. Let's go save Wenry, Kyle, Draco says. Yeah, let's go, Kyle says. Draco and Kyle start walking into the forest. And Chapter 6, You Look Strong to Me, end. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for hearing it out. Time to go to the forest. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate my fellow Vokaijin. If you like my stories, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe and share with your friends. That is it for Chapter 6. What's going to happen in the forest? What's going to go? Who? What? Where? We're going to see soon enough. But yeah, with that said, again, thank you, my fellow Vokaijin. I will see you guys in the next videos. Azura Kayaks out.